Live it up, kids. You never know when Yellowstone's going to go off or when Hillary Clinton might become president.
Welcome to the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here is your host, your guide, your shining beacon of liberty, Mark Claire.
Hello, my friends in liberty. Welcome on back to the Lions of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 177, and that means that you can find today's show notes over at lionsofliberty.com/177. Now, this past Sunday, we were, quote, treated to another debate from the Democrats, and unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, depending on your perspective, I was not able to view the debate. Yes, I do have a life outside of podcasting. I've got a professional life, a personal life. In this case, it was the professional life that interfered with things, but luckily, I've got quite a great group of Liberty cohorts here at Lions of Liberty, and my good friend, my comrade, maybe that's a weird word for Liberty people, but my associate, John Odermatt, well known to many of you guys from our past reaction shows, and as the host of the brand new Felony Friday podcast, which you can, of course, find every single Friday here in the Lions of Liberty podcast feed, was able to gather together a couple of brave souls to watch this debate, live blog the thing, and record a podcast. So this will be the first episode of the Lions of Liberty podcast in which you don't hear from me, although that's not really true because you're hearing from me right now. But for the most part, you won't hear from me. So without further ado, Odie, take it away.
Welcome back to the Lions of Liberty podcast. This is our fourth Democratic debate reaction show, and I have a couple characters in the studio who are going to be reviewing the action from Sunday night's debate with us. But before we get to that, I wanted to touch on a way that you can donate to the Lions of Liberty. You can actually donate at lionsofliberty.com/Amazon. We don't have a way that you can directly donate through the website to us, so you can do the best way we can do it is by buying things that you buy every day on Amazon.com. So simply stop at lionsofliberty.com/Amazon. Go through the link and do your shopping. Shop for anything that you can think of. So now with that out of the way, I'm going to introduce the guest that we have to talk about this draining debate. We take time out of our day to live blog these debates and sift through the details to try to find some little tidbits. So bear with us, and we are going to do our best shot. I want to turn first to Mr. Howie Snowdon in Leesburg, Virginia. How you doing, Howie?
Good. I mean, hey, we all really took one for the Liberty team tonight watching that debate. But I'm here. I'm ready to go. Got my Guinness in hand.
Still standing with Guinness. I like it. I like it. Okay, Howie, we'll turn next to our official Lions of Liberty counsel in Rico, are you in Cleveland tonight, or are you in Hawaii, or where are you?
I'm in sunny, warm Cleveland, sending my thoughts and prayers to all the people in Pittsburgh to deal with their heartbreak.
That's a lie. There's no prayers or thoughts or anything coming out of Cleveland other than just rejoicing and celebrations and probably keg stands.
Like Hillary Clinton. I just make things up as I talk, so...
Hey, speaking of the playoffs, I think it was Brian that posted on Twitter today, how unpatriotic is it for the DNC to have the debate on a playoff weekend? I mean, granted, the game was over by, start time, but hey, we got some UFC fights tonight that I'm missing right now. I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed with the DNC.
I'm always disappointed in the DNC, but regardless of when they're holding debates, it's mainly for what they say and do, so...
Also that nobody hears what anyone besides Hillary Clinton has to say, and they can just coordinate her. But we'll get to that later, I'm sure.
I think there could be a bit of a conspiracy there. I mean, this is the fourth debate. I think the other three debates were all on a Friday or Saturday night, maybe all on a Saturday night. It's the first one on a Sunday. But, yeah, who's going to want to sit through a debate after watching football all day?
I'd love to see what the numbers are between what the number of viewers through Democratic debates and Republican debates, and it's got to be that a huge difference.
Well, there's also the Trump factor, why people are probably tuning into the Republican debates. But yeah, having it on Saturday and Sunday night doesn't really inspire a lot of people to probably sit there and watch this. And it seemed like more of the same today, just Well, completely different than the Republicans. At least we didn't have to listen to 2 hours of bomb everyone, but there was a whole other host of topics, it seemed like, that were just horrible to listen to.
The last Republican ones, the first one I did not listen to. I'm waiting for the Lions of Liberty recap. Save a little bit of time in my life.
Well, just picture any of the last 5 debates, and it was pretty much the exact same thing. You know,
Randless though.
Yes,
it was Randless. Yeah, it was Randless.
Actually,
and I still, I mean, I guess we'll go a little off topic here and talk about this for a minute. I really don't care because it's our show, but I'm still not in favor of Rand, opting out of the debate altogether, opting out of the undercard, and he had a little rally there, and he's claiming that he reached more people through social media, Twitter primarily, through live streaming his whatever it was, rally or town hall. But still, I don't know. I think it just makes him look like a petulant child complaining, and the petulant child didn't get his way, taking his ball and going home.
Well, that's interesting because I think we talked about this the other day right after the Republican one, and that was kind of it seemed like everyone had come around to Brian's position that it didn't really affect him that negatively. We didn't think bad about it too much because it was just kind of associating with the dregs of the party, debating.
Yeah, maybe he should have ran as a Democrat. I'm sure he's got more supporters than O'Malley does. Yeah, I mean that guy's up there getting plenty of time.
Well, he's standing up there for a long time. He's not really doing much on the stage.
Well, he got more speaking time recently than Rand did. But
did you? I was actually just reading. Rand Paul was live tweeting the debate. So I guess when people
was he really?
Yeah. Well, I guess when people are done at the Lions of Liberty, they can go check out Rand Paul's Twitter. He was live tweeting this whole thing.
He's obviously copying off the Lions of Liberty because Howie and I were on there live blogging the whole thing. So.
He should have been a part of it.
Hey, he should have. We should have invited him on. Maybe next time.
Hillary pluses and minuses.
I'm sure the more Rand were to copy Lions of Liberty, the better he'd be doing. So, hey, keep it up, buddy. Let's go, Randy Pants.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start taking some swings at this debate here and see if we can make anything out of it. I kind of wanted to pose a question first. I guess I'll pose this to Howie, put you on the spot. Out of all 3 candidates, can you think of out of everything that's let's just say just tonight on the stage?
Okay.
Who maybe had the best? If there was any point that could be construed as being like a libertarianish policy. Did any candidate even mutter anything close to anything that you would consider libertarian?
At first I thought you might ask who had the best points, and I'll get to that second, but most libertarian, O'Malley was saying a lot of stuff, about needing to have warrants, whether it's, with the NSA, listening in on us, things like that. He says a lot of things like that all the time that are great, but then he says other things that are in, direct opposition to it, that contradict the Constitution and freedom, and all these quotes. He's always saying, giving up liberty for security, and it's like, wait a second, dude, that's exactly what you're advocating for us to do on the gun issue. But he has those. I mean, it's just rhetoric. I don't think he understands liberty. I don't think he understands freedom or even the Constitution, let alone. But those talking points were probably the most libertarian talking points that I heard. But I would say some of the most important things that were said were Bernie Sanders talking about the way the banks and the big businesses run the elections, and there's pointing out how Hillary gets all this money from the super PACs and the banks, and she says she's tough on Wall Street, and they would be like her worst nightmare to run against. Come on, we all know she's bought and paid for, and I mean it's a huge issue. I don't think Sanders' solution to that is the right one, but I mean those are some serious things that need to be addressed. And it's interesting to see, though, that Bernie has gotten so much support and donations from small donors, and we also see Trump is financing his own campaign pretty much, And man, I would love to see someone from each party that isn't bought and paid for by special interests actually become the candidates that run against each other. Agree with anything either of them say or not. It'd just be awesome to see establishment.
That's a good thought. I wonder if the special interests that are big pharma or Wall Street would back a third party candidate, would pull someone out they can get behind that they can control.
I don't know, but they must be sweating them pretty bad right now, though. Because it looks to me like Sanders is probably going to win New Hampshire and Iowa. That's my prediction anyways. And then
I think you're right.
Everything could drastically change if that happens.
Yeah. What did you think, Rico? Anything libertarian on stage tonight?
Well, it was that's a tough question, Odie. I wish I prepared more. I'm trying to think. And
this isn't Mark Claire here. I bring some tough questions to the table. It's not all softballs coming.
Damn it! I wasn't not prepared for stepping into this, but I guess Howie's right as far as the warrant on O'Malley was talking about as far as searches, and I guess I'll go give a point to Bernie because he wasn't all about bombing everyone in the Middle East, and he wasn't saying we have to get boots on the ground to fight ISIS and all that. He's more talking about, I think, an air coalition, which is still war to me, but it's less drastic than what we were hearing on Thursday. So I guess that's a little bit better, but I didn't hear a whole lot of libertarian ideals coming from any of these candidates, and was not.
Even Hillary was saying she doesn't want boots on the ground. She's not going to do this or that. But I don't believe her.
I don't believe it.
She's a liar.
No, I don't believe anything she says.
No.
And her smirk, it's just like she's like, oh, she acts like she's everyone's best friend up there. They say something like they asked Bernie what to comment about what he said about Clinton's behavior, and she's up there with a big smile on her face, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure she's loving the moderators talking about, oh, remember that time your husband cheated on you every week and it was national news, and she's got a big smile. It's like, she's so fake.
She doesn't have a soul. I'm sure like that, like a normal human being, that would like be painful to bring that up.
Yeah.
But she doesn't even think that way, I don't think. It's just all about, oh, how do I couch this politically to score the most points? So she's really not a human being. She's dead inside.
Oh, you mentioned on the live blog how she gave O'Malley the death stare when I forget exactly what he was saying, but I noticed that myself. I thought, ooh, he's going to end like Vince Foster if he's not careful.
Yeah, she was staring directly through him. I think she was just it was crazy. And I would be worried for my life if I was Martin O'Malley after seeing that stare. But it was funny because she did the stare, and then it's like she thought of something she was going to say, jotted something down, and then started smirking to herself. And I forget, what the exchange was or what she said next, but it was an interesting little moment in the debate tonight.
Did you notice how Hillary always tries to paint the picture that she's like this martyr and she's fighting, like all of these huge corporations are out to get her and undermine her campaign? Like she's like, the healthcare companies are just attacking me left and right, and they would like nothing more than to see me brought down. And it's like, she's so full of shit.
It's worked for her in the past. I'm hoping to God it doesn't work anymore.
Believe this. It's amazing. But
I think most Hillary supporters are just they're such hardcore Democrats, and they're really Clinton family supporters, I think. And they just they think Bill was the best president ever. Hillary's going to be the best president. They could care less what she says, what happens if she's indicted, on the whole email scandal. And
there's no objectivity or there's no thought like us. We criticize our guy all the time. Like when everything Rand does wrong. I mean, we have a whole segment about it, but it's like these Clinton supporters are just like, she's the Messiah. And like, forget even about like talking about Republicans, but if you ever see on Reddit the way they bash Bernie supporters and like, it's crazy. I mean, her faults and her hypocrisy and her lies are so clear. Like, it just blows my mind. I don't know if these people actually believe this stuff or if they're just evil, like the Clintons. I don't know. But
I thought it was interesting how she was talking about how great Obama's presidency was at a bunch of different points in time, when it's the Obama Justice Department that is escalating the investigation into her right now. We're looking more into her. I think in the last week they talked more about what they're looking into, and I don't know how she's gonna get away from this at this point.
Yeah, I think they found some more links to kind of special favors done to folks that donated to the Clinton Foundation, and I mean, I don't see how a recommendation to indict from the FBI doesn't come down. I mean, I don't expect the Justice Department to do anything about it, but I could see Comey, the head of the FBI, like threatening to resign or things over it. Just hope. I mean, that should be enough for people to realize, like, wait a second, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
This woman should not be the president.
And just as far as their policies in the past, as far as who they prosecuted for negligent release of classified documents, I think there was a story about a guy in the Navy who sent a picture to his girlfriend, and there was something in the background just inadvertently, and they prosecuted him. And there's been like 1,300 emails of Hillary's that were classified found on other servers. So,
which was so ironic to me that she's talking about there shouldn't be anyone too big to jail. All I could think is like, yeah, that's you. You shouldn't be too big to jail.
She said that?
Yeah.
I missed that part.
They were talking about the bankers. No one went to jail and that. She's like, there shouldn't be. We shouldn't have banks that are too big to fail. There shouldn't be, people that are too big to jail. And like the first thing I think, like, yeah,
oh my God,
you shouldn't be too big to jail. The irony here is killing me.
That's some that's some nerve that she would have to say that. That's pretty funny. Well, just to talk about Bernie for a second. What exactly, he always brings up the break up the banks. Has he ever talked about how exactly he's going to, quote unquote, break up the banks? Because you can't just break them up, so to speak. There's
he has
multinational contracts and transactions.
Yeah, he has some good things to say. If he says anything that has to do with economics or banking or whatever, just realize he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Break up the bank. Well, you can't just say, okay, we're going from Bank of America to Bank A and Bank B tomorrow. It doesn't work like that.
Hey, you know what? Screw Bank of America, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're not great, but he has no idea what he's talking about when he's saying break up the banks and all this other nonsense. It's amazing. And he repeats it every debate.
If he were to ever become the president, which, there would be some good things, but I hope to God we have a Republican House and Senate for the duration to keep a lot of this economic nonsense from ever coming to
I don't even think the Democrats would go for breaking up the banks because not everyone's just an idiot where, the large banks weren't completely responsible for the meltdown or the recession or whatever, like he tries to portray it. There was a lot of smaller banks that were, pushing through mortgages that shouldn't have been pushed through.
I think Odie said on the live blog, like, hey, why don't you just prosecute these bankers when they defraud the American people and do something wrong?
Yeah.
There was that. I mean, the first thing came to mind when he was talking about that, breaking up the banks. And you know what? Maybe the banks do need to break up, but it needs to happen on their own. I think the problem is the government and the Federal Reserve in different ways keeps bailing them out. But one thing I want to talk about, because this probably happened maybe 5-6 months ago, or maybe it was longer than that, when there was this huge scandal between, it was international scandal. There was the Bank of England there was a Scottish bank,
the
Bank in England.
Libor scandal.
Yeah. It was after that, but it was similar. They were manipulating rates, and they fleeced basically the world economy for something like $5 billion. And I don't think anybody has been arrested for that. There were fines. There were huge amounts of money. The banks were fined, but nobody has gone to jail. And I think that's.
Well,
I'm pretty sure
that's a bigger problem.
I'm pretty sure they make more from breaking laws than they're fined, or else it wouldn't keep happening.
But
exactly,
they don't need to write new laws to deal with this. It's just like you committed fraud, you're going to be prosecuted. There's no government immunity, like if you're a police officer and you shoot someone in your job.
I thought there was.
There's for committing
it kind of seems like it. No. I mean, if you're a police officer and you shoot someone.
Well, yeah. I mean,
they have to be a minority. Right?
That's a bad example.
If they're a minority, it's okay. Isn't that how it goes?
I think that is law. Yeah, I'm saying, but there's no immunity for these bankers that engage in fraud. So it's like, well, we have to, write new laws or enforce, it's like, well, it's called fraud and it's criminal and you prosecute them. It's not rocket science what to do here.
Isn't the reason, or one of the reasons why all these banks are so big, is the amount of regulations and loopholes, or they find loopholes around it, but the amount of regulations these banks have to be big to be able to pay for it, to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
You'd have a lot. I mean, you wouldn't have as many big banks if they didn't have to deal with all the bureaucracy that the government puts
and the
on.
They
banks
want
got
that stuff
bigger.
because the small banks can't afford to deal with all that nonsense. So
Exactly.
it drives out the competition.
Yeah, and the banks got bigger in 2008 because they had to consolidate to deal with some of those other banks that were going to go under. So, the government encouraged that, and now they're, and who was in office in 2008? What party was running everything? So, well, I guess
Exactly.
2008.
What's the quote from George Bush? Have to abandon my capitalist principles to save capitalism, or something ridiculous like that.
Well, shocking. He didn't have a.
He's not exactly the sage of our day.
Yeah, a very intellectual response to that whole situation.
No, he did not. Hey, so encryption. It seemed like they wanted to talk about encryption. I think they asked O'Malley about it first. And that was actually O'Malley's response to when they asked him about encryption. He actually had a decent response to it, but it had nothing to do with encryption. He was talking about needing a warrant. You should always have to get a warrant first. He was talking about the Fourth Amendment and privacy. But he didn't really talk about encryption at all. And I think that both Hillary and Bernie both kind of said, well, yeah, we need to get close with Silicon Valley and work with them and make sure that
what does that mean?
Back doors, front doors, and all that. But
that's nonsense. Weakening encryption hurts everyone. It gives the government an in, it gives criminals an in, it gives foreign spies an in. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. All the people from Silicon Valley, well, actually, you know what? They've been coming out and speaking against this, and someone mentioned that tonight, but Hillary Clinton's like, that's not what I heard. As if there's this closed-door meeting where actually they're going along with it all, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's the truth.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they're probably being forced to.
I didn't really get what their responses were. That didn't have anything to do with encryption.
I would love to see John McAfee.
Working with Silicon Valley. Well, what does that mean? That you're going to have some kind of merger of government and corporation to spy on people? I don't really feel like that's a very libertarian response.
If the communications are secure or they're not, there's no if we work with Silicon Valley, you can do what?
As long as Google forwards everyone's emails to us, we'll be great. Okay, well.
Hillary's probably like, well, all my emails are out. Screw the rest of them.
That'd be great.
John McAfee wrote, I don't know, I think I put this on my Facebook. I think I put it on Lion's Facebook, too.
It was excellent.
I'll put it in the show notes. He wrote an article for Business Insider titled, "The Obama Administration Doesn't Understand What Privacy Means. Let Me Explain." And really, the article could be titled, "The American People Don't Understand What Privacy Means." And I would recommend everyone read it. I'm not going to, talk through it, but basically it talks about how individual circumstances and relationships are affected by privacy, and without privacy, the world would just devolve into chaos. And it's really true. If none of your communications, if your communications could be between you and your wife could be shown to your neighbor, then there's going to be a lack of sharing and trust there between a husband and wife. That's just one example. But I think when it comes to encryption, people look at it that terrorists they have a way to communicate that the government there's no way that they can see what they're saying, or private companies can't see what they're saying. But isn't it the same thing? Like if you're sending a letter, you can send a letter to someone and you have no idea what's in the letter. That's privacy. Are people advocating that there should be a government agency that opens everyone's mail?
I think they do.
Look at it; it's the same exact thing.
I think they do photograph the front and back of every piece of mail, so it has the to, the from, all the kind of the metadata of written mail.
Do they really?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but yep.
I wonder the post office doesn't make any money.
Howie, I had a question for you.
All right.
What did you think about Bernie constantly bringing up your favorite president, FDR? When he was talking about all the different types of plans he was doing, wanted with universal health care.
First of all, FDR is probably one of my least favorite presidents.
I know.
Set the record straight here.
Not what I heard.
I've heard
Grover Cleveland's my first favorite, but no, yeah. Again, I don't know. Especially with the Democrats trying to solve this universal health care, or build on the Affordable Care Act, all this shit. I don't think that's going to be a winning issue for them. the Republicans know how much the American people hate it. Everybody's rates are going up. My rates are going up. It's an awful thing. Bernie's going to make it worse, but even though what he wants, I think, is worse than what we have right now, the way Clinton is mischaracterizing his position is such nonsense. He said she's being a bit disingenuous. No, she's a bold-faced liar. It's just lies, hypocrisy, and I can't stand it. They had Chelsea out saying, well, Bernie's going to take all these people off of the Obamacare and all this. They're like, yeah, he's going to replace it with universal health care. Everyone will have. They're trying to make it sound like people are going to be thrown off their health plans. And,
well, it sounds like basically what he's doing is just making Medicare universal. I mean, maybe I'm just understanding what he's talking about, but it's just single payer Medicare going to everyone. I probably assumed
he meant full-blown socialism, but
I think it's one and the same. I think Medicare for everyone is pretty much the same thing as single payer.
Yeah, exactly. Medicare is through the government, so I think that's what he's talking about, which I can't see that ever passing. Doing single payer Medicare and I don't know, but I think. Do
you guys think that is going to be a winning issue for the Democrats in this next election?
Which was funny was because Bernie kept saying we need people. Congress refuses to do what people want them to do, but ironically, Bernie, actually, the majority of people favor the repeal of Obamacare. So when you're talking about doing what the American people want to do in context of healthcare, it's not what you want them to do. So,
hey, I don't know if you guys saw in the beginning of the debate, there was another attack from Hillary on Bernie about how he was weak on guns, and she's like, he voted for this and this and this. She started listing off this litany of things. And I was like, wow, she's making him sound pretty awesome. I thought he was worse on guns.
I vote for Bernie now.
So hey, I don't know. I think I've seen in polls and things recently that more Americans are for the right to bear arms than gun control. So it seems like they're latching on to these issues. I don't see winning for them. I mean, this election may come down to Trump versus one of those two, and I think he'll wipe the floor with them.
Well, I think Bernie's support, I think we've talked about this before, is being severely underpolled. And like you said, Howie, he's probably going to win Iowa. He's definitely going to win New Hampshire. Once you go down south into South Carolina, I forget what's after that, things could change.
The media just loves a story. So once that happens, they want to have this new story like, oh, the underdog, here he comes. And that's going to be the focus instead of this Clinton obsession right now.
He's catering to the same type of people that were upset with the government and liked Ron Paul, or were upset with special interests controlling the government and liked Ron Paul. But he just is bringing in, completely the opposite 180-degree solution, which is getting the government more involved rather than less involved. But he's actually right in a lot of his criticisms, but his solutions are just freaking awful.
Is it like the same thing that we have every election cycle? Like people hate the government, and then they're like we'll vote for Obama, the hope and change narrative that was complete BS. Like Obama's going to be different. He was different, but not in the way people wanted him to. And then it looks like everyone's latching on to Trump or Bernie, because they're not like your typical politicians, and then God knows.
Or Ben Carson.
Dear Lord.
Can we find a Ben Carson supporter and interview him one day? Because I want to know what ticks in the mind of a Ben Carson supporter.
I was talking during the last debate. I was having a Facebook conversation with someone who is not a Ben Carson supporter, but I don't know. He likes Ben Carson. He thinks he'll be a good president. I don't know if he'll vote for him or not. But we were going back and forth, and I was like, he has no specifics. I don't even know what he's talking about half the time. I don't think anybody does. And then they asked him about security, and they asked Ben Carson about security and how would you handle that. And Ben Carson basically said, well, I would bring in experts and would ask them what they thought, and we would talk about it and put a policy together. And the kid I was talking to on Facebook put that back, and he's like, yeah, that's what we need. I'm like, what, you need somebody who's going to go and find experts? Who are these experts?
Hey,
I mean, what?
He lost me when I found out he didn't stab someone.
I started to like him when I heard that.
No, when he didn't. When it came out that he didn't really stab someone, he lost me.
Why would you lie about stabbing someone? That raises a red flag right there.
I don't know. The world is just insane right now. I mean, I never thought that Bill Cosby would be a rapist, or that Bruce Jenner would win Woman of the Year, Donald Trump would be the front runner in the presidential election, and like all this craziness. When John McAfee tweeted out the other day that he had it on good word that that Morgan Freeman was going to be running for Libertarian candidate for president, and Vin Diesel was going to be his running mate. First I'm like, that's absurd, but then I think about what's actually happening in the world, and I'm like, well, maybe it's not. I don't know. It's all just so crazy now. Who knows what the hell?
I think that was it came out, that was like some just marketing thing by McAfee. Just made it up, but he got his name out there. So,
yeah. I was excited for a day. Oh, well. So how much time did O'Malley really get to talk? It didn't really seem like he was on the debate very much. When he got interrupted, he didn't fight. It didn't seem like. He's just like, okay, my time's up.
He's actually a pretty likable guy. I can kind of see why Brian McWilliams likes him. He doesn't come off like a cocky know-it-all like Hillary Clinton, and even Bernie Sanders in a different way, that their solutions are the only way. He comes across pretty likable. He's a robot. I mean, I think he's probably at least half robot, maybe 60%. But
I don't know. Just him being the governor of Maryland and the former mayor of Baltimore, like, it's such an awful place with awful policies and awful laws. If he has anything to do with any of that, like I don't even know why he's bragging about having been the mayor of Baltimore. Like, that's a place I'm afraid I'm going to get stabbed whenever I have to go there.
Did he say they had the best schools in the country? Because I don't believe that for a minute. I think he said that when I was mayor and I left, we had the best schools in the country. There's no way that's true.
Yeah,
that might have been when I was letting my dog live vlog for me. I missed that.
What about Bernie talking about, like, someone was telling him about how he doesn't know how to balance a budget, and he's like, well, I was mayor of Burlington. I thought that was hilarious.
Mayor of Burlington.
I don't know. Maybe they did balance their budget, but I can't imagine they had that big of a budget that he really needed to, stay up for weeks and weeks to try to figure it out. But yeah, maybe he did a good job, but it doesn't seem to be like, it's kind of like me saying, well, I balanced my checkbook, so I could definitely balance a federal budget. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bernie came up.
Did anyone catch?
Go ahead, Odie.
I was just going to say, did anyone catch when they asked Hillary? We're jumping all over the place, and I love it, so we're going to keep doing it. But when they asked Hillary about her relationship with Vladimir Putin, just like really creepy, like laughter.
I was like, what's really going on?
It's interesting. It's interesting.
She's like, I'll show Bill.
My imagination was running wild, actually.
Yeah, well, that's kind of scary.
This is an E for Everyone podcast, though, right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've had some R-rated podcasts.
The lowest common denominator when she was like, didn't say anything for about 5 seconds, and she had this look on her face, like, how do I phrase this? Very creepy.
Man, I don't know. If I was Putin, I'd watch my step. Look what happened to Gaddafi.
Yeah.
That's true. Maybe Hillary had something going on with Gaddafi. I mean, who knows?
Those Clintons, you never know what they're up to behind closed doors.
Well, seriously, what was the thing with Bill Clinton? That guy who had like the island of like underage sex slaves and like.
What?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
Do you know Odie?
I don't remember the guy's name, but yeah, it was some guy. I think from England, right?
Yeah.
And he was bringing in like a bunch of underage girls, like 16-year-old girls, maybe younger than that, I don't know. And Bill Clinton was very good friends with him and would always travel to the island.
Yeah.
But the media has not really brought up this connection at all or even talked about it.
I bet you Donald Trump will.
Oh, you're damn right he will.
If Hillary becomes the candidate, that will be. I mean, there's just so much ammo.
I don't know. Bill was going to an island. There were 16-year-old girls there. I don't know. What happened? What could happen? Maybe it didn't happen, but it could have happened. He was there. 16-year-old girls. I don't know.
Well, he does have a history with women. They
were good or weren't they friends at one point in time? At least Trump and the Clintons, and didn't Trump get like married relatively, not too long ago, within the last maybe 10 years? So is it possible that Bill Clinton was at a Donald Trump bachelor party?
Oh, I don't know. Did you hear they were asking Hillary, though, because she was at his wedding and all that, they asked what she got him, like as a wedding gift. She said she didn't get him anything. what kind of a cheapskate goes to a wedding? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. To me, that just struck me
That's ridiculous. Yeah, she didn't get him anything.
I guess she thought that was a good answer, but I was like, what? You go to a wedding and you don't bring a gift? Come on, lady.
What's your class?
Yeah. You should be classier than that. I understand you're not.
I bet she ordered the steak, too, and not the
I may
chicken.
not be like a huge supporter of the Donald, but if I was invited to his wedding, I would have brought a gift. That's for sure.
Exactly. What about those YouTube videos they kept showing? Did you see the one about global warming?
With the cartoon?
Yeah.
I zoned out. I've got ADD.
I missed that.
It was ridiculous. It was like a YouTube question from, it was a question from some YouTube channel. It was like some, regular person who put up a YouTube channel about global warming, and they're like,
I don't like this millennial bullshit. I'm not going to watch a video question.
Like, well, I mean, how can anyone deny the global warming, because there was just a flood in South Carolina last year that was caused by global warming? And I'm like,
it's called weather. Remember when it's cold and we say there's no global warming?
Linking this flood to global warming, and it was just the most amateurish sight I've ever seen. And then Bernie Sanders was talking about how, global warming is a proven fact because it was warm this winter, basically.
It's absurd. The other side does the same thing when it's cold. It's like, it's snowing. There's no global warming. And he's like, it's 65 in Vermont. It's the global warming. No, in either case, it's just weather.
Scientific.
Drives me nuts. People don't understand science. That doesn't prove anything in either case. If it's cold or it's hot, it doesn't mean there is or isn't global warming. Yeah, and people just misrepresent the argument either way.
Global warming doesn't cause a 40-degree temperature swing from one December to the next.
No. Sure. And you know what? If there is global warming, which I kind of think there might be, government sure as hell is not going to solve the problem.
No.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is I think at the heart of it, a lot of people, people that don't believe in global warming or whatever, and I might be one of those people. I'm not even sure. I don't know if I believe in it or not. I think at the heart of the issue is those people just don't want the government trying to fix it because they're just going to screw things up.
Yeah.
But rather than say why should the government solve this? They haven't solved anything. They say global warming is not real, which maybe it is real. I'm starting to think
they do say we've staved off an ice age, which I'm glad that happened. That'd be way worse.
Yeah, I would much rather have global warming than an ice age. Ice age would be the worst thing ever.
I hear you.
No part of that.
Well, aside from an asteroid impact, but that's a different story for a different day.
Or Yellowstone exploding. That'd be pretty bad. We should probably be putting more resources into figuring that out, because that would freaking wipe our country out.
Well,
for the most part.
I don't think there's really anything to be done.
Except for moving farther away from Yellowstone?
Just goes to say, live it up, kids. You never know when Yellowstone's going to go off or when Hillary Clinton might become president. Either or, it'll be disastrous.
Maybe up the same proportion.
When is the next Democratic debate?
Oh, God, let's not get started on that already. I don't want to think about that.
Let's just
got through one.
Who do you guys think the winner was?
I would say Bernie. O'Malley didn't get enough speaking time. Hillary's not believable. Not that I agree with maybe 5% of what Bernie said. So I guess that's better than the other candidates on a scale.
In my eyes, to me, like what Bernie was saying, I would have. He won me, but the whole time I was watching it, I was like, oh man, stupid people are really going to think Hillary's kicking ass in this one and winning. Like,
what did she do?
If you didn't realize she was a liar and you didn't realize she was the biggest hypocrite in the world, and you just looked at how she presented herself and how people were reacting and things like that, I think a lot of people are just going to fall for it.
She does have a very smooth kind of way to answer questions. She comes across as like, well, this is very, very obvious, and she'll say what she needs to say, and she's not really like searching for anything. It just comes across like she knows exactly the answer until you listen to the words, and it's bullshit. Yeah. But she's very effective, I think, in that technique if you're not listening or comprehending what she's talking about.
She also nods her head while she talks.
She's agreeing with what she's saying.
Like, yes, agree with me. Of course what I'm saying is right. Nod your head, agree with me. And maybe that's like some tactic she learned on how to hypnotize people. I don't know. Maybe maybe it'll be a hypnotized fest between the wizard Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. That could be pretty interesting. I think I would say, to answer your question, Rico, I got to agree with you. I think Bernie won overall. I think Hillary Clinton, more than anything, I think she's really trying to tie herself now more to Obama and the Obama administration, which I think could really backfire on her down the road, especially the way I think the economy's going. I don't think it's going to be, doing too great by the time the general election comes around and you have maybe a Donald Trump going against a Hillary or Bernie or Ted Cruz or whoever. I think Obama's not going to be able to say he's had a great 8 years because the economy's not going to be very good. So Hillary can't really tie herself to those positions anymore, which she's been doing right now. Well, I think O'Malley did come across probably the best I've seen him, the most human, that's for sure. Yeah. But he just doesn't get much time.
I found it amusing. I guess it's kind of a condescending thought, though, when O'Malley's like, well, I've set forth a detailed plan on how to deal with some issue that they were talking about. And I just kind of thought, like, why? Why did you set forth a detailed plan? You're just wasting your time, like thinking of answers to all these questions. It's like studying for a test you're never going to take. It's just like, what's the point?
I thought it was really funny when Hillary accused him of taking money from Wall Street. He's like, well, not enough. So if anybody wants to send money to my campaign, you should go to my website, send the checks in.
I think Bernie started jumping in on that too.
They should be all over her getting all the money from the big banks, and she's bought and paid for. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
She's 100% bought and paid for, without a doubt. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we call this show a wrap?
It's been a grueling 4 days for me, let me tell you. 3 debates, 2 recaps. I'm ready to not think about politics for quite a while, so keep me updated with what's going on.
We will.
Out.
I'm going to join the crowd that's calling for Debbie Wasserman Schultz to step down. I should have been watching UFC tonight. It's Sunday night, holiday weekend. Come on now. I didn't need a DNC.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's MLK Day on Monday, right?
I forgot about it. Do you have to work tomorrow?
Of course I have to work.
It sucks.
You guys don't have to work?
I never work.
I can't work. I'm stuck working a government for a government contract, and where I need to go is going to be closed. So,
well,
you lucky bastards. Okay, well, when I'm in the office working tomorrow, I'll be thinking of you two.
I'll be on the couch, so
that's great.
Know what I'm doing.
You can watch a replay of the Steelers game and celebrate.
I lost my bet. Don't feel too happy, or I'm not too happy. I thought you guys were going to win the Super Bowl, so put a little money on it. So that didn't come through for me.
Okay, guys, but before we do our sign-off here, I just want to say to all the listeners out there, you can check out the show notes, everything we talked about here at lionsofliberty.com/177. So make sure to check that out. That's all I have for today. I want to thank Howie and Rico for joining me on this, ridiculous endeavor. I don't know why we put ourselves through this every week, but we do. We continue to do it, so there must be a reason. Maybe we're just insane. But anyway, let's try this. This is my first time doing the sign-off without Mark, so I'm not even sure how to do it. So I'm kind of a little nervous, but
I think you can do it.
We'll give it a shot. How does he say it?
Oh, come on, guys. It's easy. All you got to do is live long and live free.